The Game Awards usually feel super commercial, and while I love watching all the trailers, and I do love some of the commercial aspects of the show, it can feel at times as though the Game Awards is just one big, long ad as opposed to, I don't know, an actual award show that's supposed to be celebrating games and the gaming industry. But this year was kind of different, guys. It was a different vibe altogether. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's me, Amanda. You might know me as Vamp. Vamp X13 is actually the name of this thing that I do. It's my username, so that's why I say that. Welcome back in. I watched the Game Awards this year. I was not in this place, so I was not able to stream it, but I did watch it, and I honestly loved it. There was so much that happened this year that I feel like was a statement on the gaming industry and just where we're at right now. And kind of, there's a frustration that I feel like has come to full boil and just boiled and bubbled right over. But you know what? It's bringing us into this new era of gaming that I'm really excited about, and that is actually making me feel really hopeful about the direction that we're headed in, despite the fact that we've had a really hard year for the game industry. I mean, we've had a hard few years for the game industry in general, and just for the world in general, let's be honest. And I feel like every industry is honestly feeling it. But for games, it's been tough. So this was really refreshing to see, an award show that actually made me feel, I don't know, hopeful. It was nice. Now, don't get me wrong, this was still a weird year in terms of the Game Awards. Usual weirdness, I mean. We had some people that were here announcing awards or announcing trailers and things that were happening that made me go, why is this person here? We always have weird celebrity guests at the Game Awards that I've raised an eyebrow about, even though, I mean, I love a lot of the people that they pick are people that I'm fans of. I'm just wondering what they have to do with gaming. But, you know, barring the usual weirdness, there was some really big statements that were made at this year's Game Awards, and it actually started even before the award show happened. Now, I did a stream where I went through on my birthday, and I looked at the nominees for the Game Awards, and I also looked at some nominees for the Streamer Awards, which I watched this year, and I went through and I voted on, you know, who I thought should win. I just did my voting live on stream. It was something that was really fun to do, and it was also something that made me surprised, because I felt like the nominations this year were already making a statement on what type of show we might be getting. And there were some nominees in categories like, for example, Balatro, who was nominated for Game of the Year, made by one person, very small indie game that I felt was a huge statement on just where we're at with this industry and the potential of indie games, but also just the frustration with AAA games. And I thought, if Balatro wins, that would be a massive statement. Now, Balatro did not win Game of the Year, but we still got a lot of massive statements, and Balatro still, you know, they did pretty well, so I was pretty happy with that. So let's talk about some of these statements that happened. We did also get an award that, of course, was not one that I could have voted on. It was the Game Changer Award. I also love the name of this award, the Game Changer Award. And the Game Changer Award was given to someone who has made a positive impact on the gaming community, the gaming industry. And this year's winner for this first ever year that we've had this award was Amir Satvat, who did something really, really cool, and I found this really inspirational and really touching. Amir is a huge gaming fan and noticed that a lot of people were dealing with layoffs, and around the time that he had friends who were being laid off around the holidays, he realized he had a skill set that he could use to help create resources to help those in the gaming industry find jobs after being laid off. Now, he doesn't do any of this for money, for profit. He just does this out of the kindness of his heart and because he really wants to help the gaming industry that has given him so much in terms of just the fun he's had with games and loves games. Went up and got very emotional while accepting the award. It made me emotional. It's making me a little emotional right now. not gonna lie. And what he had done within the industry was he had helped, I believe it was around 3,000 or just over 3,000 people find jobs who had been laid off, and also created a bunch of resources that people can use to help find new jobs after being laid off. It's really tragic because gaming is such a massive industry. Really, video games make tons and tons of money. Like, this is... You think movies make a lot of money, video games make a lot of money. So to hear how many layoffs there's been this year and even before this year is very upsetting and very concerning, because it's also reflecting on, I think, just where the world is at right now, where it feels like the rich really just keep getting richer, and that gap that we see between the massively rich and just everyday people is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Middle class is really being erased. You know, not to make this video all about classism, but just, it is a statement on, I think, where we're at, and there is obviously classism at play here, to see just the fact that we're moving in the direction of who needs workers, everything can be automated, we don't need people, let's just lay them off because they're just numbers, is really deeply concerning. And especially in an industry that is creative like video games. It's highly creative. People are literally making art. So to hear that Amir won this award and is just making this change because he thinks it's the right thing to do was really inspiring. And it set the tone very much for just everything that was happening in this show, to be honest with you, especially when it came to our speeches, which is mostly what I want to talk about here. I definitely had a lot of trailers that I love too, and I want to do a video on that, but I really just want to focus on the statements that were being made at the Game Awards. We saw it as well with the speech that we got from Larian Studios head Sven Vinka, who came up and was announcing the Game of the Year award. And as you know, Baldur's Gate 3 won last year with Larian. You may have heard of Baldur's Gate 3. It's fantastic. One of my favorite games of all time. And what Sven said is that knowing who's going to win this award, and obviously having won last year, that this is setting the tone for the future of gaming. And the future is one where it's not about monetization. It's not about bottom line microtransactions. This is going to be an award that will be given to, in the future, games that focus on the gamer experience at their core and really just making a game that is fun for everyone to play. Games that are focused on that gamer experience and just delivering something that is enjoyable from beginning to end, not about banking every little element of a game in terms of just making tons of money off players. It was really amazing, and I just really loved how punk rock this speech ended up being. And we're gonna get to the Game of the Year. We're gonna get to the Game of the Year in a bit, because I do want to also talk more about who won and what I think that says. I think that's a huge statement, honestly. But before we get into that, this punk rock speech also reminded me of another punk rock speech that we got as well during this show, which actually came not from an award, but actually came from a trailer announcement, a game announcement that happened during the show from a studio that I love, Hazelight. If you don't know Hazelight, they're amazing. They are a studio that focuses on cooperative games. They are keeping couch co-op alive. I'm a big couch co-op fan. I have had so many amazing experiences as a gamer playing on the couch with my friends and my family and my loved ones. And so for me, this is a very sacred gaming experience. They also won for a little game that you may know, It Takes Two, a few years ago. And they've also made another game that I love that really messed me up, A Way Out. A Way Out. That game went to places I did not expect. I will not spoil it if you haven't played it, but I have trauma. I'm not ready to go back into that game. I don't know when I'll be ready. Oh man. But so Josef Fares came out and announced the newest game, which is called Split Fiction. And while that announcement was happening, the things that were talked about were so just badass. First of all, this game looks amazing. I gotta say, I'm really excited to play it in March. I already wishlisted it. I will definitely be playing it. But Josef talked about just how excited he was for this game to come out, because this game is really doing crazy stuff that people are just gonna have so much fun playing. And I really believe, based on other games that I've played from the studio, that they will deliver. I haven't played a game yet from them that I've hated or disliked even. Everything has really hit. It's been really strong. So there was that aspect, but also Josef literally called out games that are overpriced, stuffed with microtransactions, and reassured players that, once again, with Split Fiction, this will be a game that, just as long as one of the two of you own it, you can play with a friend free of charge. So you only have to have one copy of the game to even play with someone, which I just think is such an amazing thing that they do. And this game is also going to be around, I think, $64 Canadian. So it's very affordable. I think it's a really good price point. And especially based on the previous games that I've played, I think it is a great price point for the experience we're probably going to get out of it. Now, granted, it isn't out yet, but it was very exciting to me. And I just love Josef basically calling out the industry for being way too obsessed with money and not focused enough on actual, I don't know, game experience, because games should be fun. We play them. They should be fun. So thank you for doing that. This is also an interesting award show because it really felt like there was a shift to indie games this year. And as I said, I saw this a lot in terms of just the nominations that we saw for the awards, but I also saw this in terms of just even awards that were accepted, speeches that we got. Now, for indie game, we got Balatro, which won. Yay, Balatro, which I played actually on stream and instantly became addicted to because it was so much fun. If you don't know it, it is a deck builder. It is a rogue-like, really, really cool. You play it with poker hands, but it's not poker. So if you don't like poker, don't worry. You'll probably still love this game. Yeah, I love this game. It's amazing. And I also love poker, but that's neither here nor there because this game is really not poker. So Local Thunk won, who is the person that created Balatro, one person, and he was not there to accept the award, but people from PlayStack were there to accept the award on his behalf. Local Thunk is not someone that likes the spotlight, and so instead they basically communicated what Local Thunk wanted to say, which was that he wanted to dedicate this award to other indie games out there. First of all, acknowledging all the amazing other indie games that were nominated in that category, but also just encouraging players to really explore the world of indie games and saying that, you know, there's so many amazing indie games out there. There's really a lot that will probably surprise you. And I mean, I think the thing that I really love about indie games too is that there really is a lot of potential with indie games for them to be very fun, very unique, very snappy, and well priced as well, because they tend to be from these smaller studios. There's less people working on them, but there's people that are working that are very dedicated. They have these small, more dedicated teams usually. Sometimes, you know, they are just one person. And I loved that he used that opportunity with the award to just honor the entire category of indie games, which I think are seeing an uprise and will continue to see an uprise as people are kind of revolting against these big overstuffed AAA games that are, you know, overpriced and often just bloated at the end of the day is what they feel like. And sometimes feel kind of soulless, let's be honest. Although, you know, there are some AAAs this year that I quite enjoyed. I have to acknowledge what the trend is, and that has been the trend in the industry, which has been sad. Speaking of indie games kind of coming out swinging this year, I thought another amazing statement was the fact that Helldivers 2 won for ongoing game, and Helldivers 2 was going up against some really massive heavy hitters. Helldivers is a very affordable, very fun game. I own it. I haven't played it yet, but it's on my list of things that I've really wanted to play for a while. And I just think the fact that it won over games like Fortnite and Call of Duty is insane, and is also such a statement to the fact that the team behind Helldivers is really focused on the gamer experience. And even when they accepted the award, they acknowledged the players and wanted to say thank you to everyone for playing the game and making it possible for them to win this award, and just reinforce that they are super dedicated to the gamer experience and making sure that the game continues, is going strong, and they have a lot of fun things planned for its future. So just, it's not ending anytime soon, and everybody get in and enjoy some Helldivers too, which I am very excited to jump into myself. So Game of the Year this year was Astro Bot, which ended up being a bit controversial for people that I think, aren't PlayStation gamers. And I will admit, I am not a PlayStation gamer. I'm an Xbox gal myself, and I also game on PC, and I have a Nintendo Switch that I game on. However, I'm not I don't hate PlayStation or anything like that. I just don't happen to own one myself. I do play on friends' PlayStations at times, and I have played some PlayStation games, obviously. And I would love to play more. One of the ones that I would really love to play is this Game of the Year winner, Astro Bot, which I've heard great things about. So even for me, I think there were a lot of non-PlayStation people that were surprised by this win. I was not surprised by this win because I had heard great things from my friends that play on PlayStation, and just in general, the buzz surrounding Astro Bot was massive. And I think there's a big reason why this game won as well, because Astro Bot is coming from a studio that is very much focused on making an experience that is universal in terms of their games. Really, what Acebo wants to do is they want to make games that are universally loved. So there's a big focus on it being a game that anyone can play, anyone will enjoy. And this is a family game. And I think a lot of people thought because they had won in the family category that they wouldn't win Game of the Year. But I kind of love that they did based on everything that I've heard and just what this game represents, which really, when Nicolas Doucet came up to accept the award, he talked about how this was a game that was a labor of love. Really wanted to shout out as well his small development team, which is like 65 people, which is crazy for just how big and detailed this game seems to have been. I can't wait to play it myself. And I think the fact that they were really focused at all times on the gamer experience and making the game just more and more fun, and making sure that everyone could play it and have a good time and bond over it, is what makes it Game of the Year. And I love that a game that is this accessible also won. I think that's a huge statement on where we're at with games, and it kind of is bringing us back to, I think, all of our childhoods with games. The thing is I think so many people fell in love with gaming when they were kids. Games are playing. They should be fun. And I love the fact that Nicolas also, inadvertently shouted out. And then I love the fact that Nicolas also kind of slyly shouted out Nintendo. Obviously couldn't directly call out Nintendo. Indirectly talked about just the origins of platformers, where they've come from, and just that love, and how it was from a big studio that gave us that, and just to acknowledge the legacy and the history of that studio, Nintendo. Obviously, I think a lot of people's first game, my first game, was definitely Super Mario Bros. So that was a huge one for me. Super Mario Bros. And I played a lot of arcade games as a kid, so I loved that shout out, and it just made me super excited to play Astro Bot. I think this year was very exciting. It was very interesting as an award show because it seemed to be, despite being one long ad still, which it was, there was lots of ads, lots of announcements, lots of trailers. I mean, let's be honest, the Game Awards has basically become the new E3. I don't really think there's anything super wrong with that. I love getting all the announcements and all the trailers. It gets me hyped for the next year of gaming. So for me, I don't mind that. And the ads also obviously help to pay for the show. I think it would be nice if there were some more speeches and being able to hear from some more creative teams. I know we have a lot of bullet point awards that happen. However, I think at its core, the Game Awards is still really about the love of gaming. And this year really was about that because it felt very anti-monetization, anti-corpo, very pro indie games and pro gamer experience. These things that we've been seeing kind of ignored by bigger studios. And it's so nice to see them just uplifted and to feel this inspiration, this hope for the future of gaming that, it doesn't just have to be about how much money can we make and how many people can we cut and these tragic things that feel like they are our impending doom of a future. I feel like this award show has just come so far as well from the Spike TV days. It has really changed as a show. And I love that the Game Awards feels like a bit of a dialogue where each year I watch the Game Awards and then everyone talks about it after and we all talk about, what do we like, what do we not like. And it feels like, Geoff Keighley and the people that bring us this show really are listening to what people are saying and are responding to people's reaction to the show and are always trying to find ways to strike that balance between, giving us all the trailers and the announcements and ads, and also just really representing the industry and highlighting what makes gaming so fun and the art that is games. Games are art, and I feel like sometimes people forget that element. I think especially sometimes studios forget that element. And it's lovely to see that so many games that are art just being highlighted here. I also love that, you can say a lot of things about Geoff Keighley, and I know sometimes he becomes kind of memeable, but I love that Geoff is just definitely a massive gaming fan, and he just has this passion. And you really saw it this year because there were moments when it seemed like he was emotionally choked up. Like he was about to cry, and then he had to keep the show going. I loved that, and I think it was a very emotional show for a lot of us. Many tears were shed. And I just got a lot of warm fuzzies. So I kind of just wanted to say, thanks to the award show for going there, for making these statements, and it's given me a lot of hope for the future of gaming. And hopefully you got some of that too. Let me know your thoughts on the Game Awards down in the comments below. Did you feel this? Did you not feel this? Did you still feel it was too commercial? What do you think is the perfect balance there? What do you want out of the Game Awards? And how do you feel about the future of gaming and where we're headed? Do you feel a bit of optimism? Is it all doom and gloom for you? And what are you looking forward to in the new year for games? Let me know. I'll see you down in the comments, my friends. And until next time, as always, stay nerdy. Bye!